Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I know you all have one burning question. I'm only going to answer it once. No, I'm not involved with the Sinaloa cartel. I'm not taking bribes from them, and I'm not laundering their money. So, just kidding. Anyway, no. That was a joke. So I'll give you, I know you all saw our schedule for Yuma yesterday, but I'll just give you a quick rundown from that trip. We met with folks at Customs and Border Protection, local elected leaders from the towns and county and tribes in the area, nonprofit leaders, as well as farmers, just to hear from them the impacts of the border and how we can continue to support them from the state level. So that's part of the commitment I made on the campaign and in the state of the state address. So we'll continue having those visits. It's also been helpful to have that visit as we plan for Secretary Mayorkas to come out soon to make a trip to the border as well. So, I want to try to make sure everyone gets a question. So I'm going to start here and go that way if that works. So, yeah.
Sort of like Hebrew from your perspective.
Okay.
You had vetoed the rental tax for a variety of reasons. The Senate has passed the tax on food. I know you said during the campaign you'd be willing to work with the Republicans to get rid of the tax on food. What's your thought? Is there any reason you would veto such a bill?
What I said is that I would look at all the ideas that we can put on the table to make things more affordable for Arizonans, but that I continue to be concerned about the impacts on cities and especially public safety budgets. And I don't want a piecemeal approach. I think there's a lot of other things we could be doing to make things affordable. That being said, I haven't looked at the specifics of the bill, and we'll be making a decision when it gets to my desk.
Quick follow-up. If you don't want a piecemeal, then why are you proposing getting rid of the sales tax on feminine hygiene products and diapers? That sounds like a piecemeal approach to me.
Well, it's something that has some impact for some folks and doesn't impact local jurisdictions as much as the food or rental tax bill does.
Well, as it relates to agriculture, you may well know that AG Mays says that she is going to take care of the Saudi situation. What's happening along that level? What is the state doing right now to just dump the Saudis?
Well, it's a very complex issue and not something that the AG has the authority to frankly do on her own. It's a complicated lease that we can't just end. And there's also a huge amount of land over and above the lease that they actually own. And so the impact of just ending that lease is not going to decrease their use of water by that much. And so it's a very complex issue, one that we are definitely looking into, but needs to be done in a comprehensive way that doesn't put the state in jeopardy of violating a legal contract. Oh, can we go this way? Yeah. Yeah.
I know you joked about at the beginning, but I do want to ask that joint legislative hearing, elections, a lot of things, wild accusations were made. Do you feel like you were defamed? Do you feel like you could be taking some sort of legal action, probably what was said in that committee?
I mean, we're certainly exploring options. What I'll say is this, and I know I've been a broken record on the issues I think we need to tackle: water, education, affordability, housing. These are all really critical issues that we should be having full-day legislative hearings on, and we're not. Instead, we're having these circus shows. That is a culmination, really, of 2+ years of defamation of me and other election officials and other leaders, and it is irresponsible for this to be allowed. It is dangerous. It makes the legislature, quite honestly, a laughingstock, and Arizona by extension. And I hope folks are held accountable for this.
And just a quick follow-up, you said you're exploring options. What about pursuing defamations? I mean, in another case, you filed bar complaints against Mark Brnovich. Could you be taking legal action for yourself?
I mean, the legal standard for a public elected official is pretty high, so I don't know if that's our best option, but we're certainly looking at ways that we might be able to take action.
Governor, long as we're going in order here, you've had a lot of issues with the Senate's committee on director nominations. I wonder if you can describe a little bit your process of vetting and preparing your nominees for that committee, and whether you're changing your approach
Well, since you asked that on the heels of the question about the circus on Thursday at the legislature, I think that episode really doesn't give a lot of confidence in their ability to vet our nominees. They certainly didn't vet anyone who was speaking at that hearing, and certainly didn't have experts at that hearing. So I will say this, our nominees, again, were chosen by our bipartisan transition team who looked at expertise, qualifications, and then we had a personnel vetting process for everyone that we selected, and are continuing to work with our nominees to prepare them to go before this committee that doesn't seem interested in their professional qualifications as much as we can do that.
And does that include speaking with members of the committee? Are you having
Yes. It is normal for nominees to go and meet with members of the Senate prior to their confirmation, and we're having our nominees reach out and schedule those meetings with whatever senators will meet with them. I will say that there are members of the nomination committee who will not meet with our nominees.
I assume that's the chairman?
No, he's actually not one of them.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
If I could, very quickly though, are you changing that process at all? Are you changing your approach at all, given that this has not been super successful?
Well, it is really hard to prepare for something that you don't know is coming. Again, these are not folks who are focused on the actual qualifications of these people. They are focused on personal vendettas or embarrassment or whatever else they can come up with. We are doing a lot of preparation. We've stepped it up. We're providing as much support as our nominees have asked for.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah.
Governor, I'd like to ask you about yesterday. You've been talking, or your administration's been talking since January about Secretary Mayorkas coming. Is he?
He is, and it's just been hard to get on the schedule. Arizona is not the only state he's dealing with, and he's committed to doing that. We are just in back and forth discussions. In fact, I think that we had a call from his chief of staff yesterday in the car.
Next question on this. You said with the Border Patrol. Today, Congressman Sismonti of Tucson sent a letter to the Biden administration asking about why they're withdrawing these security devices that fly over the border, the southwest border. I was wondering if the Border Patrol had talked to you about this and the potential impact that has on Arizona's border security.
I'm not familiar with that specific directive. It did not come up in our conversations. What specifically they said is that it would be helpful for us to advocate for infrastructure and personnel, but not specific types of infrastructure or technology. So I'm not familiar with that specific. It did not come up.
One last question, if you might. What did you learn yesterday, the combination of the water issues that you were addressed during your trip, as well as border security? Have you learned anything that you are now going to implement in any kind of plan?
I think that our conversations across the board yesterday really reinforced the approach that we've taken, that it's really important to listen to the folks working in the field that are experts on these, and take our direction from them. People were really happy to feel heard, from the mayors all the way to the nonprofit leaders, and just that this administration is listening to their issues, and that we're not coming down there for photo ops. We want to take real action and implement solutions that are going to be helpful.
What do they want from you?
They want us to keep listening. And as I said, the Border Patrol folks asked us to advocate for continued infrastructure, and to keep talking to them, so that we're not making decisions without knowing how it directly impacts the folks working in the field.
Governor Ben Toma and Warren Peterson said today they're reaching out to you to set up a meeting regarding
Yep.
the budget. Does that mean that following your veto of the skinny budget 2 weeks ago, your office didn't reach out to any legislative leaders to set a meeting?
We-
Will you accept this one?
We did reach out. So I take their letter as a response to us reaching out, and I'm encouraged that we can move forward on a process of negotiating a budget that we can all agree on.
So you're going to say yes to them even if they didn't reply to you?
They did reply to me. So yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, and specifically, they say there's members of their caucus who support money for school facilities building projects, as well as funding for the Division of Developmental Disabilities, transportation projects. Does that sound like early concessions to you, and do you have other areas that you're willing to make concessions or compromises with them, even if you're not willing to tell us right now exactly what they are?
Yes, absolutely.
To which?
To all of those things, and I'm not willing to name them specifically right now.
Oh, come on, Governor. It's just between us.
Governor, you just, a couple weeks ago, you dismissed all 31 members of the Arizona Mexico Commission. Are you trying to change the commission's direction? And on top of that, are you concerned about losing institutional knowledge? And are you worried about sending the wrong message to our partners in Mexico by doing this?
So I will tell you that I've had really encouraging meetings with leadership in Mexico, both the Mexican ambassador, the governor of Sonora, the president of Mexico now, and they're very focused on how we can rebuild a relationship that they don't feel like they've had in the last couple years. And certainly the Arizona Mexico Commission is an important part of that. I will say that we invited those members whose terms we terminated, which were at the pleasure of the governor, to reapply, and at least half of them have taken us up on that. So we're just going to be looking and making sure that we're filling that commission with the people that are there for the right reasons and the people that we want to be there. I will also say that the prior administration has a lot of people serving in multiple roles. These are largely volunteer positions, which there are numerous Arizonans that want to serve in and who are qualified to serve in. And so we're going to be looking to make sure that we can really diversify membership in a lot of these boards and commissions. And we'll be looking at all over 300 that are under our office and probably taking similar action with those terms that are at the pleasure of the governor that we can do that with.
So you're not concerned that about losing institutional knowledge, or that this will send the wrong message to our partners in Mexico?
No.
Have you told any of the dismissed members explicitly that they wouldn't be reappointed if they reapplied?
No.
You haven't told that to David Adame or any of Jonathan Lyons or Kirk Adams?
No.
Okay. And what other commissions are you, where else are you looking to take action in terms of commissions and removing members?
We have over 300 commissions. We're reviewing all of them. Many of those terms are fixed in statute, and we don't have any purview to remove members. But the ones that we do, we're certainly going to be looking at making this kind of action on other commissions.
Governor, do you feel like the Biden administration is ready, or is at least going to be ready for the end of Title 42?
I think that they are hearing from us loud and clear that they need to be, and I think they're taking action. That was part of our conversations yesterday, is how can we help these organizations that are going to deal with the impact be prepared. We're pushing to get FEMA dollars released. That's going to be incredibly helpful, and we're continuing to have ongoing communication with the Biden administration about what we need when Title 42 goes away.
Sort of the history of the border going back to
Mm-hmm.
the Napolitano administration, probably before, it's just sort of a lot of tension between the governor's office here and the presidency. Do you feel like the federal government is taking it seriously enough that they're taking the appropriate actions on the border, or do you need to see something different from the administration?
Well, I think, this is an issue that the federal government can do some things about, and I've said this over and over again, and we all know this. We need comprehensive immigration reform, and that is an act of Congress, and it's been really hard to get that done. And so I'm going to continue to advocate for that as well, in a way that addresses needs of Arizonans. And so I think as much as the federal government can do without Congress, they're willing to do, and we're going to keep advocating for what we need.
When you went to the border yesterday, you just mentioned that you're looking into specific solutions for border security. What are those specific solutions that you're looking into?
Well, when we talked to the folks at Border Patrol, they said how we can be most helpful is advocating for continued infrastructure and personnel, and just the mission that they have on the border, and so we'll do that. But so that's really the specifics about border security. In our budget, we looked at the Border Strike Task Force within DPS, and our proposal is to eliminate that, but not eliminate the funding. Right now, the Border Strike Task Force is not being actually utilized at the border, and so we want to coordinate those resources where they can be most helpful with the law enforcement there. So those are a couple of specifics there.
Folks, we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
What did we learn yesterday about the border, about our fentanyl crisis that we have going on? I don't know if you've seen anything about this yet, but Sheriff Northland, he's testifying in D.C. today, talking about all the victims our state has seen due to fentanyl. We've had the DEA
cartel. What are we doing? He says, you know, basically kind of going off of his question, we're abandoned by the federal government. The White House just isn't listening.
Most of the fentanyl is coming through the ports of entry, and so it's tightening up the security and the resources they have there to catch it. And they're catching it every day. Yesterday morning, I think they said they had got 200 pounds under a car at the port of entry.
Now, Governor, Senator Markelle's run announced today that she was stepping back as Senate Minority Leader.
Mm-hmm.
What's your reaction to that, and do you have a preferred pick for who you'd like to see replace her in that role?
I'm not going to get involved in the leadership elections at the Senate. I support Senator Tron in looking forward in terms of what's next for her and her what she wants to do. And I think there's consensus around a candidate, but I don't want to. I would support whoever's elected and work with them.
I have a follow-up to Jeremy's question. Can you be explicit about what you would like to see change about the Arizona-Mexico Commission in terms of its goals?
I mean, I don't know that we necessarily want to change the goals. I think that we want to have folks who are there to serve the state of Arizona and, as I mentioned, reduce some of the duplicity of people serving across multiple boards and commissions and allow more Arizonans to serve and serve folks who want to work with and have folks who want to work with my administration. And I'm not saying that's not the case, but all these terms that were terminated are at the pleasure of the governor, and that is what we are asserting here.
So why do it why fire the whole commission versus just those members that you think are duplicative?
We're going to be doing this with other commissions. This isn't the only commission. So again, it's a way to have sort of a clean start and reappoint the members that we want to reappoint.
Okay, and then one just sort of follow up. Why didn't you tell members of the press that you were going to Mexico on February 17th to meet with the governor of Sonora and the president? I can't answer that question. I think Murphy or Lily or Jocelyn might be able to follow up. I don't. I didn't talk later. I know. But do you think it would be important for the people of Arizona to know when the governor is out of the state?
Yes, and actually, I'm sorry, I do have a follow-up answer to that. I think that there were everyone involved in organizing it, the ambassador, the president, the governor asked for delayed information just for security. But Murphy, or can you follow up on that? Yeah, okay. Sorry.
We sent out a notification so it's on your community calendar, and we did send out follow-up.
I don't believe that's true, but I
Okay.
would love to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
If it was wrong, I apologize if it was wrong. It should have been.
Thank you, Governor. Going back to the Saudi water deal, AG Mays is planning to file a legal action in the next few days. Has your office told her to back off, number one? And number two, what do you think is a better way to deal with all these leases that the state has?
I am not aware of the legal action she's plans to file or the specific conversations that we've had about that. And we are trying to work in concert with her on this. But it is, I think, much more complex than this one lease. And we're going to try to work and do what's in the best interest of the state.
There were on education, there were protests at yesterday's Board of Education meeting from special needs parents who say they're not getting their voucher money on time. How much confidence do you have in Superintendent Tom Horn to run this voucher program effectively?
Well, every time the vouchers have been expanded, the administrative capacity has not kept up with it, and so we knew administrative capacity was an issue before the universal expansion. So it is troubling and something that I think repeatedly has been expressed to the legislature that they need more funds to do that. Does
this give more wind to your argument that vouchers should be universal vouchers should end?
Yes, I'll take any argument in that regard that I can. Yes.
I have a couple questions regarding yesterday's events at the border. So we spoke to Yuma mayor, and he was talking about how the border strike force is very critical, he thinks, to protecting the border. What's the room for that organization in your proposed budget, and do you have plans for the future of that organization similar goal?
Well, so there was a pretty in-depth article not too long ago about what the Border Strike Force is set up to do and what it's actually doing, and it doesn't, I think to paraphrase, it's not patrolling the border, it's not actually a force, and it's not actually striking. And so if those are the things that are needed, then we need to use those resources to do those things. And that's what we're looking to keep that funding within DPS and actually utilize it where it's needed.
And do you have any plans on how to reform a type of organization like that to reach those goals?
We will definitely be talking about that with the director, yes.
Got it. And last one for you, Yuma Regional Medical Center has said before that they've spent about $26 million on migrant care, and they've said it, potentially jeopardizes their operations. Is that something you've spoken to them about? Is there any plan to support them?
Yeah, that was part of our conversation yesterday, and certainly something that we're advocating for these federal dollars to help support with where they can.
And that would your goal then is to come from federal dollars and not from state dollars?
Yeah, I mean, part of those funds I think went towards transportation. They're helping coordinate the transportation efforts. There was money appropriated from the legislature for that, and so we're utilizing those dollars there as well.
Jordan, I have to follow up on something real quickly that you were asked by the Republic, which has to do with the Arizona-Mexico Commission. But before you run her off here, the former governor had a great relationship with the former governor of Sonora. I've been to Arizona-Mexico Commission meetings over the years. It was always a good relationship. How can you say that somehow you're repairing a relationship that from everything I could see was good?
You said former, and that is the case, and the current governor has not experienced that same positive relationship with the previous governor. The current governor of Mexico with the previous governor of Arizona. So,
How would you
yeah, thank you.